Maggie sighed, holding out her hand to the rain to clean the blood from her fingers. Ronnie flashed a winning smile, infectious and gap-toothed, and they lined up behind the small herd of other little kids who stood waiting to turn in their tokens. Maggie was taller than all of them by at least a head. Earlier, they'd passed a group of Irish teenagers, kids of about Maggie's age, maybe even her future classmates at St. Bridget's. The boys were dressed in tracksuits and gym shoe brands she'd never heard of, and the girls wore tights under their skirts and heavy gold necklaces. Not one of them had even glanced in her direction. Maggie was quickly learning that being Irish-American, as she was quite different than actually being Irish. Now she stood behind Ronnie and watched the group as they walked toward the road. Their clothes, their slang, the way they wore their hair, all of it was foreign and unfamiliar. All of it was new, intimidating, and strange. I'm never going to fit in here, she thought. The announcement that, after 4 months of dating, their mother was marrying a man 5 years her junior, and they were all moving to his hometown in Ireland so he could help run his brother's construction business, wasn't really all that surprising. Since the day 10 years earlier when Maggie's father had walked out on them for a woman known in their home only as bitch. Her mom had developed a tendency to fall madly in love with whatever loser she was currently dating. It had always been easy for Laura Lynch to meet men. She was still young, had high, round breasts and green eyes fringed in long mascara-tarred lashes, and she spoke in a gentle, low voice that men leaned in to hear. Each of her romances was a whirlwind, and each ended in total disaster. In the aftermath, Laura would lubricate her despair with great quantities of red wine and the occasional sleeping pill. Over the years, whenever this happened, Maggie had learned to quietly pack a bag for herself and Ronnie, drag it up the stairs, and knock on the door to their grandma's apartment on the second floor of the 2-flat. "Mom's having one of her moments," she'd explain. "How bad this time?" Nanny I, dressed in pleated jeans and a seasonal turtleneck, would step out in the hallway and the three of them would listen to the noises drifting up the stairs from the first floor. Sometimes there was sobbing. Other times there was drunken snoring. For the really bad times, there was Bob Dylan's The Freewheelin', blasting from the tape player, and for the really, really bad times, there was Joni Mitchell's Blue album, with Laura howling along in an off-key soprano. "Okay, girls," Nanny I would sigh, herding them into her cozy apartment of faded beige carpets, fried breakfast smells, and cable TV. "I'll make some pork and beans." When she met Colum in April, Laura was coming off a blue-level breakup with Ned, the gambling addict who had spent most of his days walking around the apartment shouting bets into the cordless phone and crop-dusting the air with silent, sulphurous farts. Colum possessed all of the qualities that Ned, and for that matter all of Laura's previous boyfriends, lacked. He had a job, for one thing, and teeth that appeared to be brushed regularly, for another. Not only that, he seemed to be as crazy about Laura as she was about him. In August, they were married at the Cook County Courthouse. In September, they moved to Colum's clean little house in Bray, a damp, briny town a half-hour outside Dublin. Ronnie chose a shiny yellow bumper car, while Maggie picked pale blue. The ride operator turned a switch, and the electric current beneath Maggie's car hummed to life. She lurched forward just as a jug-eared boy who could barely see above his dashboard stomped on the gas and reversed into her at full speed. His laughter trilled into the night while Maggie's head whipped back. White, drifting stars filled her vision. She managed to steer over to the rubber edge of the ring and park while Ronnie and the other kids flew past, yelling, laughing, crashing. By the time the ride operator switched off the power and Maggie wobbled across the track to find her sister, Ronnie had befriended all the other kids from the bumper cars, even the jug-eared boy with the demolition streak. One little girl was unfurling sheets of pink cotton candy and handing them out to the others. She gave Ronnie a long piece, and Ronnie took it and folded it up into squares, like origami, then shoved the entire parcel into her mouth. The other kids laughed.